What's up everyone, Boomslangg here with another video about The Division. Yesterday, the developers working on the game hosted a live stream where they talked about the upcoming free update 1.1, which will be available April 12th and is going to add and or change a lot in the game. Things like incursions and gear scores, for example. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and jump right into it. First off, when players reach max level after update 1.1, gear scores will now replace item levels in the game. Currently, all gear have an item level, and the higher the level, the more powerful the items are, but those are going away and the gear scores will then take their place. Also, when playing with other max level players, the gear score will now appear in the bottom right hand side of the screen instead of the player's rank. Along with gear scores, gear sets will be making their first appearance. Gear sets are powerful new pieces of gear that will have powerful, never before seen talents attached to each full set purposely built for these gear sets. And if you equip 4 of them, you will gain access to that talent. Along with these powerful talents, gear sets will also include set bonuses, which can only be activated when pieces of gear from the same set are equipped. What these do specifically, though, is still unknown. One more thing to note about the gear set talents is that they are so powerful they can change the way you play the game. These are talents that you will want to balance out between squad members to get the best results when you play in the Incursion, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. And speaking of sets, there are 4 total in update 1.1. Path of the Nomad, which is set up more for Dark Zone style play. Tactician's Authority, which is set up for more support roles. Sentry's Call, which is tailored more for marksmanship players and it also promotes precision, and Striker's Battle Gear, which is tailored for more combat assault players. There's not a whole lot more details that go into these particular pieces of gear sets, just the names and kind of what they're designed for. And those are all 4 of the gear sets and what the talents and gear bonuses will promote in terms of gameplay that the developers talked about during the live stream. Now, in order to find these pieces of gear, first off, you need to know that they are rare and or tough to acquire. You will be able to get pieces from the Incursion, challenge modes, the Dark Zone, and blueprints. But some sets will be primarily found in some areas compared to others, like the set that is set up more for the Dark Zone. As you guessed, it will be primarily found in the Dark Zone. But there isn't one single activity to get all of the gear sets from. You're going to have to do several different activities in order to collect all of the pieces. Finally, gear set pieces are like high-end plus items. They're a little better than high-end items, but they don't have the individual gear talents like high-end gear, so there's going to be a little bit of a trade-off when using them. Next up, we have trading. We finally have some answers on exactly how this is going to work too. Trading will be an option for players in the same group only, and only within a 2-hour time limit. When you choose to share an item, it simply drops that item on the ground for someone to pick it up. So if you're playing with other friends and you beat an end boss, for example, and you get a named weapon or a good piece of gear and you don't want it or you don't need it, then you can drop it on the ground for other players in your squad to pick up. And even after an item has been traded, it can then be traded again and again if you wanted to do so. So if someone accidentally picks up a piece of gear that someone else dropped, then they will be able to share that piece of gear so the correct person can get that piece of gear. But when you're in the Dark Zone, you will have to enter a Dark Zone checkpoint before you will be able to trade items. The developer said that they don't want other players in the Dark Zone sneaking around and being able to grab those items since they would be open for anyone to grab. Assignments are also a new feature coming in 1.1. These are weekly and daily objectives you can complete to earn more rewards in the game, such as Phoenix credits, Division Tech, and quote, good rewards, end quote. So these are going to be another good feature that will allow us to stock up on Phoenix credits and more. Next, we have supply drops, which I'm really excited about. Supply drops are a new feature that only take place in the Dark Zone. These are exactly what they are, supply drops that fall from the sky and happen randomly throughout the Dark Zone, and then they contain really good gear that is protected by powerful enemies. And the first squad to eliminate all of the enemies and goes and collects the loot from the box gets to keep it. No extraction needed. The reason being is because this gear was dropped from an airplane or whatever it's dropped from, and it's not contaminated. So as soon as you pick it up, it's yours to keep. Another new feature that will be added with 1.1 is the spectator camera. When you die in the Division nowadays, it's pretty boring. You get to stare at your dead body for a period of time, or even until your squad members revive you or they all die. But after 1.1, all of that will change. You will now be able to cycle between players in your squad and see the game from their perspective. It's not a major major feature, but it's definitely a nice addition. Now let's talk about the new Incursion, Falcon Lost. What it is, where it is, and what you're going to be doing. First off, what is it? An Incursion is an all-new end-game feature for squads of 4 players that is going to require strong team tactics and powerful gear to complete. These things are going to be a lot harder than challenge modes, and the Incursion will be available in 2 difficulties, hard and challenging. Now, where is this thing? Falcon Lost takes place in the sewers in the southeast corner of the map. Here you will descend into the sewers and then make your way into the LMB base that has been set up after the final fight in the main game in an enormous water treatment facility. And finally, what will we be doing? Like I said, after the final fight in the main game of the Division, the Last Man Battalion have set up a base inside a water treatment plant under the streets of New York City. Captain Perez is trying to rally the remaining force of the LMB, and since the water treatment plant is a vital resource to the city, it just can't be bombed or blown off the map. So as a Division agent, you are tasked with going in and neutralizing the threat yourself, which happens to be an APC. Now, the interesting thing about the Incursion is the fact that it doesn't appear to be a raid in the general sense. It's almost like a horde mode. From the footage they showed in the live stream, you won't have to fight through several stages to make it to the final fight. You enter into a large room and are tasked with eliminating the APC and 15 waves of enemies. There are also several mechanics that go into this Incursion, so I don't think it's going to be a horde mode that we have normally seen. There will be a lot of curveballs thrown our way with new enemies which will require new strategies and tactics. Some of them include the drone enemies, which will seek you out when you're trying to sit back and take it easy. So this is going to be an intense activity that will require constant teamwork and strategy. These drones also give me hope for future updates that add drones that the agents can use eventually, similar to the companion app that got scrapped a long time ago. Incursions will also feature matchmaking for those of you who have a hard time finding people to play with. Hard mode will have a recommended gear score for players, but challenging mode will have a minimum gear score requirement, so players are matched appropriately according to their gear. There will also be no checkpoint, so be prepared for the long haul. They didn't give a specific time frame for completing these things, but if they're comparable to a super hard challenge mode, you can expect this thing to take several hours to complete the first few go-arounds. This Incursion will also feature some story elements. The developer said that if you pay attention to the enemy voiceover, you will learn new things about the current state of New York. And the voiceover audio for the NPCs is unique in almost every playthrough, so this will really make things interesting. And finally, the Incursion is not account locked when completing, so if you have several characters that are level 30, you can complete it several times, giving you more chances at getting that good loot. When more details drop about the Incursion, you can be sure to find them here. And with that, we have come to the end of the video. First, I want to say I'm sorry this video has been a little late. As you all know, I've been really busy with work, but anyways, I'm super excited for this update. I can't believe how much content is in this free update. I hope you all are excited for it as well. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more of the Division content, and until next time, don't trust anyone in the dark zone.